Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to have a look at Leo Tolstoy's book Resurrection. As you can see, I'm going to use my blog post to guide us through this video. So Resurrection was Leo Tolstoy's last novel, and it's definitely not as famous as War and Peace or Anna Karenina, but I think it's still a very interesting book to read, especially because it's his last novel. So he kind of uses this book to share with us some of the most important insights that he has gained throughout his life. So, as a short introduction, Resurrection tells the story of the rich aristocrat Dmitry Nikliudov. And well, I think I can better call him Dmitry. He's a member of a jury that has to decide the fate of a young woman who's being charged with murder. And it turns out that this young woman, who was called Maslova, is actually known to Dmitry. And in fact, it's true Dmitry's wrongdoings to Maslova in the past that she's actually ended up in court being charged with murder. So as such, Dmitry decides to do whatever is in his power to correct his wrongdoings and fight for forgiveness from Maslova and also for forgiveness from himself. So Dmitry kind of finds out that it's true, the things that are wrong with society, that he's become a corrupt individual. And even though the story is set in 19th century Russia, many of the faults that Dmitry discovers about society are still relevant today. And therefore, I think that the lessons that we can learn from this book are still very important for us to know. So, Tolstoy uses this character, the character of Dmitri, to share some of these lessons that he has learned throughout his life. So, the first lesson I think that's important to know is that good and evil are relative concepts. So, according to Tolstoy, whom one considers to be good and evil really depend on the circle in which one is moving. And he indicates this by arguing that people that other people would consider to be evil actually do not necessarily consider themselves to be evil because they are moving in a circle of people that are, well, conducting in the same way. So this might be a bit strange to us, but according to Tolstoy, this is only the case because most people do not move in these circles. The circle of these evil people is rather small, and we as hopefully good people are kind of moving outside of it. But what's more interesting is that people that consider themselves to be good are actually doing the same thing as people that most people consider to be bad. So, for example, wealthy bankers, they might consider themselves to be good people, but actually they might be kind of robbing money from poor people. People in the army consider themselves to be good, but actually they might be murdering other people. So it really depends, according to Tolstoy, in which circle one is moving, and thereby one defines good and evil. So in this sense, it might be important to, when using these concepts, good and evil, to take a step back and really analyze the situation as neutral as possible. And the second lesson, that society can be corruptive, is kind of connected to the first lesson. So Tolstoy uses the animal and the spiritual personality to discuss this, which is kind of a bit complicated, but what is most important to understand is that when somebody is doing something that is good for himself, then this behavior might be frowned upon by society. For example, Dmitri indicates that when he drinks a lot of wine, when he spends a lot of money on luxuries, well, such as hunting or furnishing an interesting and peculiar and luxurious apartment, then everybody admires this behavior. But when he's doing something that's good for him, for example, spending less money, drinking less, then people frown upon this behavior. So in this sense, Tolstoy argues that it's often more easy to do something that is not necessarily good for oneself, simply to accommodate to society. For example, when you go out to drink with your friends or with other people, then they might encourage you to drink as well. And if you say you do not want to drink, then they might be, well, persuasive. They might persuade you to drink. Similarly, if you go out to buy clothes, then if you buy cheap clothes, then actually people might make fun of your decision as well. Then the third lesson is a lot more spiritual. Tolstoy argues that people are like rivers. He argues that it's impossible for any one person to have certain fixed characteristics. It's a kind of a superstition, according to Tolstoy, that certain people are smart, cruel, wise, or stupid. According to Tolstoy, of course, somebody can be stupid or smart more often, but it's not really possible for anybody to always be smart or to always be stupid. And I think this is kind of a beautiful idea, because if you consider yourself to always be smart, then you might beat yourself up if you do something stupid. But you shouldn't do this, because you are like a river. So even if you consider yourself to be smart, then of course you will also at certain times be stupid. And if you consider yourself to be stupid, then actually you do not always have to be stupid. Because you always have this attribute of being smart in you as well. And then the last lesson, so it's rather interesting. It's mentioned by Tolstoy on the last page of his last novel, that you should not live only for your own joy. So according to Tolstoy, if you live only for your own enjoyment, then this will make you unhappy. According to him, you also have to find another purpose in your life. For Tolstoy, he kind of mentions this in a more religious sense, but I think you can choose a different purpose as well. What is simply important to learn from this is that you have to do something else than living for your own joy, because this will make you unhappy. So those were the 4 lessons. I hope you've enjoyed them. Since this is my first YouTube channel, I will be very grateful if you can, well, give me some recommendations in the comments. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.